Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Let's Max Warframe. We're continuing to smash our way through the new weapons that dropped with the War Within. We're going to take a look at our first kind of spoilery one, and that is the Broken Scepter. Broken Scepter is a weapon you're going to get as a reward from completing the quest, and comes with a weapon slot and a potato. But what do you get in terms of stats from this special weapon? Well, you get a base damage of 60, the majority 42 comes in the form of impact, you got 12 as slash, 6 as puncture. Makes it the second highest base damage of any of the staff weapons, although it is true that it's not really the most populated of melee classes. The supplemental stats, you got 10% critical chance, 200% multiplier. It's not enough for a traditional blood rush body count combo, however when combined with a pretty decent range of about 7 meters, a maiming strike build combined with prime reach is definitely a viable thing. Then we also have a nice status chance of 30%. Means you can really use the dual stats effectively, or Weeping Wounds, or even Drifting Contact to boost that status chance. It gives you some really nice ability to apply some of those status procs while you're dealing your damage, especially since it comes with a base attack speed of 1.25, which is pretty amazing really. You can seriously pump out the damage and deal status ridiculously quickly. But in addition to this, we have an interesting mechanic. Everybody rejoice! Woohoo! I'm really enjoying all of these new mechanics. So what do we have with this one? Well, if you check out the tip of the weapon, you can see there are 2 orbs floating around it. What these mean is that when you can kill an enemy, you can drain them of their essence. If it's an organic enemy, so basically anything non-robotic, you're going to drain a health orb from them. And any robotic enemy will drain out an energy orb. Draining an enemy, that will deplete one of the orbs on the scepter. Now, after a ton of testing, I pretty much couldn't manage to drain the enemies quick enough, where the draining ability wasn't going to be available for more than a couple of seconds. Now, these orbs act like any normal orb as well, so it will trigger Arcane Pulse, and it will trigger Arcane Energize, and it will also work with Equilibrium as well. Just be aware, you will do a capture style animation on the target to drain them, meaning you're going to be locked into that animation, and you are not invincible, so that is something to be very aware of. So how did I decide to build this thing? Well, I've got 2 very different builds for it. I've got 2 former on there, well actually I put 3 on, but the third really isn't actually that necessary. In total we've got 3 Vs and a dash on the weapon in total, but one of the Vs isn't actually needed. I'm not a fan of the flailing branch stance, so I formed the weapon to not have to worry about which stance I use. It effectively future-proofs the weapon in case a new stance comes out. My preferred stance is Clashing Forest because I don't like the leap that's part of the standard combo in Flailing Branch, and the speed and multi-hits from Clashing Forest really suits this weapon incredibly well. However, the first build, that is built around applying status as much and as quickly as possible. We got Prime Pressure Point on there, Prime Fury, Primed Reach, pretty standard for this type of weapon. Then we got Drifting Contact to increase a combo timer as well as improving status chance, brings it up to a pretty decent 42%, which when combined with Weeping Wounds is going to get us up to 100% pretty damn quickly, with the status chance and that insane attack speed building up our combo pretty quickly. After that we got 3 90% elemental mods of your choosing. You don't need to drop down to the 60% dual stats, just the combo of Weeping Wounds and Drifting Contact will give you your way more than enough status chance to not need to lose the extra damage that the 90%ers will give you. Now there's a second build that also works pretty well, and honestly this is the build that I alluded to earlier, and it's probably the build I'm going to use the most, and that is the Maiming Strike build. This time we got Prime Pressure Point, Prime Reach, then Blood Rush and Drifting Contact to build up our crit chance, and also to keep our multiplier. We've then got Maiming Strike to buff our crit chance to 100% before Blood Rush takes account. Then because we're critting on every slide attack, we also have Berserker to buff our attack speed up to 75% when it's fully stacked. Then we also have 90% Elementals to round off the build and do as much damage as possible. This build is pretty damn strong because you hit red crits almost immediately, and it is definitely the stronger of the 2 builds. However, not everyone likes sliding to win, which is why I added both builds. So do I think it's worth whacking the former on there? Yes I do. It's actually a pretty damn solid weapon. Whether you want to go with the status build with something like Viral or Corrosive, or the slide attacking crit build craziness, there's a decent amount of build variation here, so you could go for whatever you want in terms of how you want to use it. I've been messing around with this thing quite a bit and even took it into the sorties. It was dealing a decent amount of damage even there, because while compared to some of the highest base damage weapons, yes, it doesn't have that huge base damage, but it truly makes up for it with its insane attack speed. So as a straight melee weapon, I think it's really properly solid. However, its special feature, yes, it's neat. However, the problem I found with this thing is that the animation you get locked into, it leads to your death at higher level more often than not. If you stop completely still for a couple of seconds to drain either health or energy, you're going to end up with a ballista using your face for target practice, or a nullifier jumping on you shouting "surprise!" It's pretty much a certain death sentence. Although at low level, it is nice to grab those energy orbs or health orbs if you need them for sure. It's a fun mechanic even if it doesn't scale particularly well. Right now, there is a bug with the draining, which is that if you go into a mission with no other weapons other than the melee weapon, you cannot use the drain at all. I spent some time testing this last night and I forwarded the bug on. However, it is still a thing as of when I made this video. If you don't want to bring more than just a melee weapon to the mission, the way you can fix it is to change to a synthesis scanner and back again. That will fix it. So if you're having issues getting the drain to work, try this out. Hopefully this will help you out. But to sum up, a pretty good melee weapon. No, it's not a powerhouse like some of the crit melees. But if you want a non-crit melee that will deal with sorties pretty easily, look no further. I've used this word a few times in this video, and that is, it's solid. It's worth investing the former into if you like these types of weapons. I'm loving all these new and interesting mechanics on these weapons. It's brought back some individuality to melee weapons, which was starting to get a bit bland, and they were almost sort of copy-paste of each other. And while the builds haven't changed a huge amount yet, I am really excited to see what features we're going to get to see on some of these weapons in the future. So how are you finding these weapons? How are you finding this weapon? Are you enjoying it, or have you not really got around to trying it out yet and still playing around with the cannon? Let me know which weapon you'd like to see next as well. I'd be really interested to hear. And as always, many thanks for watching. Feel free to smash that like button, sub if you like my content, and I shall see you in the next video.